Hello, fellow Rosarians. Thank you for joining me today. It's a little bit windy out here and I keep tearing up, so I'm not sad. I'm very happy that you're here with me. It's just the wind. So I am part of the Master Gardener program with Maryland, and with that I volunteer my time at Solderly Plantation. I'm really excited to do that because I get to play with other people's roses, and I can't wait to see everything in bloom this year so that I can share it with you. So many of you have been asking for a video on pruning climbers, and that's what we're going to do today. So on this fence line here, I have one climber, and if you look down, there are two down by the house there that I'm going to show you how to prune. These roses have been in need of a really heavy prune, and so that's what we're going to do today. You're going to use the same technique that I'm doing for whether you've got yours going around an obelisk or climbing on a fence. If we were doing shrubs, I've done a video on that, you would be pruning them to about 24 inches. For me, that ends up being about knee height. This is for shrubs now. You're going to knee height, you're removing any dead, disease, damage, crossing, and then after you do that, you're looking at the overall shape of the rose and saying, is this kind of what I want? Keeping in mind that you can always change it later because we're going to cut back a little bit with every flush. Then we're going to seal the canes and spray with dormant spray. So with that, thinking about what we do for shrubs versus what we're doing with the climbers, the only difference is which canes we're cutting back, because if you picture, it takes probably a good 3 years for a rose to get length on those canes. You want to leave those main canes and only focus on the laterals. Climbers bloom best if you were to just take it straight up of an obelisk. It's only going to bloom at the top because climbers bloom best when you have them at a horizontal. So you can kind of see here the canes, we're going to bring those horizontal so that they get the laterals and then they bloom off of those, so you get lots of blooms all over the entire thing. We are going to be leading the main canes, trimming the laterals, looking for any dead, disease, damage, crossing. We're still going to seal those canes just to be extra careful in the event that there's any borers. I don't want to introduce infection. And then we're going to spray the whole thing at the end with dormant spray and looking at the form. We are going to tie the canes every 18 inches or so with a very loose tie so that it doesn't cut into the canes. I'm concerned that I don't have enough ties with me today. So let's just get into it and we'll see what we're left with. But we'll start with this first rose here right now. All right, so what do we bring with us today? I've got long clippers because you want to get your want to be able to get into the rose without impaling yourself. We've got our gloves, of course. I also brought my small clippers, and I've got alcohol, I've got string, dormant spray, and sealer. So we learned recently from Dr. Mark, and I also heard it from my friend at A Reverence for Roses, that we want to use 70% alcohol versus 90 because it's actually more effective. So I brought my alcohol here today, and when I'm doing a spring prune, I like to sanitize the pruners initially. If I was deadheading, I would be sanitizing my pruners after every cut. But because this is a spring prune, I'm only going to do it in between each rose bush, and that dormant spray that I'm going to use will also suppress anything that's going on with the canes. So the first thing that I want to do to make this easier to look at, because it's got a lot going on, is we want to look at what is a main cane. So a main cane goes all the way down to the base of the rose. So if I'm looking at this one cane, there's actually no lateral shoots that are really coming off of it because it's been trained upward or let go. If I were to pull this horizontally, we're going to get the shoots off of it. But like say for this one here, I'm going to start cutting off everything lateral initially just to get a look at the shape. When we look at this cane here, do you see how it's coming out towards anybody who would be passing by. So we're actually going to take this one totally off. This one is great because it's heading towards the wall. This one's okay. We might leave it initially, but do you see how this one here is also coming towards anybody who's going to walk by? So we're going to take that one flush too, and we will seal that later when we're done. Let's go ahead and back up a little bit. So if we do the same thing all the way down, you see this cane is coming towards a passerby. We're going to move this one flush, this one off, this one right here. It's passed towards me, so it's coming off. Same with this one. And this one. This one. This one is heading down. This one is on the underside of it. So when you look at this one, we only need to cut the lateral so that it has 3 or so of the nodes. So let's get that one out of there. Now looking down here, this is a lateral, but we only want 2 or 3 nodes. So let's take that one out. Same with this one and this one. This one has a cane coming, a lateral towards somebody who's passing by, so we'll cut that one flush. This one here, we just don't need this much height initially. So if we look down the rows, I'll move out of the way so you can see with the light. All of these are basically heading straight up. So we're going to leave these and do this all the way down this cane. So if you look at that cane now, that is a finished cane. So we're just going to look at every cane and clean it up initially so that we can get a better idea what's going on. Okay, so if you can look at where we've gotten it so far, we have cut back just about every lateral so that I can see what's going on. They have drilled some bolts into the concrete, so we're going to have to make do what we've had. What they've been using is either shoestring or we probably don't need this much of it, or just a nice string. Is I'm going to gently tie it. If you're seeing newspaper here, that is a great way to suppress weeds. It's organic and it will break down and nourish the soil. This rose cane here could be used, but when I'm looking closer at all of the scratch marks that are on this cane from not being tied down and secured properly, it could introduce fungus or bacteria into these openings, and they're all the way up. So let's just go ahead and take this one down to the ground. Okay, when I'm looking at this one here, same situation as the last one. It's just not malleable, hasn't been trained, so we're going to take that one out. So now let's start thinking about the fan that we want to go this way. I think that this one is really old, so let's go ahead and cut this one down to the ground. Okay, we're coming up to the last of it now. So let's go ahead and start pulling and training this one. Now keep in mind that you really want to gently pull them as you're training them, because if you hold them too tight, and you can keep tightening it every couple of weeks as you're training it, If it's not used to being trained, it could snap. So we can see that it is fanning out. There are no dead, diseased, damaged, no crossing. We have brought back all of the lateral canes on the rows so that it will flush out from there. Let's go ahead and get it sealed. All of the cuts that I made and dormant spray. So here we have two different roses. This one here, which is a hot mess, but I hear it's really beautiful. So we're going to get that one cleaned up. And then we have this one here going up against the house. I think I want to start with the easier one, which is going to be this one here. So I know that was a lot of pruning and it might be hard to look at for a lot of you, but keep in mind, these babies are really going to flush back. We've already fertilized them and put compost down. I'm going to get close to show you, but I want you to picture with all these roses, you really try to make the canes and train them horizontally when you can so that they get these laterals that come off of it, because the laterals is where the blooms are. So thanks so much for joining me. I really hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.